Auckland FC have won 4 out of 4 New Zealand derbies after this weekend. An incredible derby match there. Wellington Phoenix 1, Auckland FC 2. What were your thoughts on this game and this dominance from Auckland FC that we are witnessing in their first, they've only been around for just over a year now, and they are completely and utterly dominating the New Zealand derby. Wellington Phoenix, this club that has been around for almost a couple decades now, still yet to even get a point across 4 New Zealand derby games. And the exciting thing is these two teams are meeting in just a few weeks' time. We've got the next New Zealand derby on the way. So it's going to be really interesting to see how these teams go in those weeks leading up to that derby as well. And can Wellington Phoenix finally respond? Let's talk about the game this past weekend, though, because it was a truly dramatic contest. 2 red cards, 3 goals all up. Auckland FC with a 2-1 win in Wellington. First of all, in regards to the lineups, there was some big news for both teams, really. Auckland FC were heading into this game without captain Hiroki Sakai, who sustained an injury in their last match against Adelaide United. Huge blow for Auckland FC. But the good thing that Auckland have sort of set up, and this has seemingly been a thing that they've implemented since they've come into their existence, is that they have quality players in every position and quality players who can come off the bench and support. And Callan Elliott was the guy who came in, started a right back, and he's been such a reliable player to rely on, I guess, for Auckland FC over the past year when Sakai has been out, or there's been a defender out with injury. He's been able to slot in at right back and cover, and he did a fantastic job in this game. But for Wellington Phoenix, I mean, another conversation that's sort of growing around Wellington now is this increasing injury list, which has got some really key players on it now. I mean, terrible news for Hideki Ishiga during the week in the lead up to this game. He's out for the season with an ACL injury. That is devastating news for the Wellington Phoenix forward. Mandrikar James was out for this game. Still no Nikola Miljuznic. As we know, Tim Payne is out for a few weeks. Paolo Retre still out, just to name a handful of players there. Wellington Phoenix, they are missing some serious, all those guys are potential first team players there for Wellington. And credit to them for the young guys who are coming in are doing a decent job. They have made a decent start to this season. It hasn't been a disastrous start to the season for Wellington Phoenix, but maybe there are still some things to work on for them, especially after this game against Auckland FC. But obviously this game had a crazy start. Auckland opening the scoring within the first minute. It was 30 seconds. And I mean, the big conversation around Wellington as well has been this high line that they've been playing. And you see that back five, they step up basically to the halfway line. And I saw it in person when Wellington took on Central Coast Mariners just a week ago. And it was so crazy to watch. You thought they could just so easily just chip over the top. And Mariners tried to do that on a number of occasions, getting the long balls. Auckland FC managed to do it successfully after just 30 seconds. So it was clearly the game plan. You could see how the ball, Auckland FC had it at their back in their own half, went out to Francis de Vries, who was one of the best deliverers of the ball in this competition, and just lobbed it over the top, and Jesse Randall in behind. And credit to Jesse Randall, who did well to make sure that he was dribbling at speed, maintained control of the ball, and had that composure to tee up Sam Cosgrove to open the scoring there within the first minute. But Wellington, with that reply just a few minutes later, 9th minute, fantastic strike. I mean, a bit of an uncharacteristic giveaway there in midfield. I think it was Jake Brimmer who gave the possession away. And Efenia Eze has really impressed me. He's scored a couple goals already this season. I remember that goal round 1 against Wellington, really nice taken goal. And this was a different kind of goal from range. Left foot, fantastic strike from Eze, who I think could potentially be a contender for the Golden Boot this season. He's going to be a real star player for Wellington in attack, especially if he's scoring goals like this. So it was 1-1, and you thought, okay, this has been balanced out a little bit, but Auckland FC, almost a mirror image of the first goal, scoring their second in the 34th minute, and it was that same combination again. Over the top for Jesse Randall, and he's teed up Sam Cosgrove. And it's really interesting watching the replays, the wide angles showing Sam Cosgrove initially just in an offside position. He's just chilling in Wellington's half, completely no one around him. Wellington's back line is all the way up to the halfway line. Ball is over the top for Jesse Randall, who I think for this goal was even in his own half when he started making that run. And then Sam Cosgrove, because Wellington have got everyone pushed up to the high line, but Jesse Randall, takes the ball forward. Sam Cosgrove is obviously onside for that next pass that comes inside, but he's completely unmarked. And the likes of Isaac Hughes and Lucas Kelly-Hill and Matt Sheridan are sprinting to get back. It's a risky style of play that Giancarlo Italiano is implementing. It has worked so far this season. We have seen them implement it effectively. But in this game, Auckland FC exposed Wellington Phoenix, and that's the risk. It is the risk, and this time we saw it really pay off here for the opposition. For Wellington Phoenix, I think they were really unable to deal with Jesse Randall in this game. I thought he was probably the best player on the pitch and has been one of the best players in the competition. He's been great so far. Already gotten on the score sheet already this season for Auckland FC and now providing the assists. He's a player who last season was sort of in and out of the starting 11, but now has well and truly cemented his spot in that starting team, whether he's playing up top through the middle or out wide on the left now, which it feels like is maybe his best position to operate in. He's such an exciting player to watch, and he was a real handful for the Wellington Phoenix defenders. On that left side, taking on the defenders, taking shots from range, and obviously setting up these 2 goals for Sam Cosgrove. Jesse Randall set for a real, I guess we could say, breakout season. I don't think last season was a real breakout season for Jesse Randall, but the New Zealand international, he's set for a big campaign, and he's made a fantastic start to this season. That second half, obviously things just went to that next level. The 2 red cards, 49th minute, Dan Hall. So the question is, were these 2 decisions red cards? We'd love to hear from you guys. I think the Rogerson red card is a red card. I think you look at the studs going up there with force. For me, that's a red card. Steve Corica obviously wasn't happy about it, but I think most people will probably agree it's a red. I wonder what you guys think of that second one. But the first one is one where if you watch it, you do see, Dan Hall commits the foul there on Corbin Piper. And I think it was a foul. I think it's fair to say there is contact there in the back. And Francis de Vries is sort of in line. When Corbin Piper finally goes down, de Vries is sort of right alongside. And when I initially saw it, I was like, I don't know. I don't know if Dan Hall's the last man there. Francis de Vries is almost covering it there. But I think the thing to consider is that where the foul starts, where the contact begins, Dan Hall's definitely the last man. And as the 2 players, Corbin Piper and Dan Hall, are running towards Wellington Phoenix's goal there, then Francis de Vries starts to catch up there. But for me, the foul begins, the contact is initiated when Dan Hall is the last man. It is a red card for me. So in the end, I would agree with both red cards. And I'll tell you what, I should say fortunate that Auckland FC had Nando Pinaka on the bench. I mean, returning from injury, he missed the first few weeks of the season, especially with Sakai out. But with Dan Hall going off, all of a sudden, panic stations at the back for Auckland FC. But they had Nando Pinaka to come on, who was one of the best centre-backs last season, so perfect timing to return from injury there for the central defender. But down to 9 players there at the end. It was just chaos. It was frantic stuff. It was, tell you what, Wellington Phoenix fans must have been, it was gut-wrenching stuff, just like heart-stopping stuff, watching those final 10, 15 minutes as Wellington were just having shot after shot after shot, trying to break down Wellington Phoenix's stubborn defence, and Michael Vowden goals for Auckland, who had a great game in the end. Looking at the shots, I mean, Wellington Phoenix will be disappointed with this statistic. I mean, they had 19 strikes on goal all up, only 3 on target. And I don't think that's necessarily, I don't think you're necessarily blaming Wellington Phoenix and their shot accuracy. It's probably more so credit to Auckland FC and their structured, organised defence and limiting the quality opportunities on goal there for Wellington Phoenix. I think that's the big thing to consider in this game. The Auckland FC defensively were just so resolute with 9 players on the field, including the goalkeeper, were able to silence Wellington Phoenix, at least for the end of this game here. So Auckland FC, incredible for them. They've won 4 out of 4 derbies. Wellington Phoenix, man, they cannot accept this. Wellington Phoenix cannot stand for this. They were humiliated in Season 1 for Auckland FC, especially with that 6-1 win. Absolutely humiliated. And obviously last season was a pretty mediocre season for Wellington Phoenix. They weren't really close to finals towards the end. Then Auckland FC, obviously an incredible campaign for them. But this cannot become a pattern for Wellington Phoenix. It's a little bit worrying. Auckland FC now, already this season after 4 rounds, Auckland have a 5-point lead ahead of Wellington Phoenix on the ladder. Auckland FC currently first on the ladder, Wellington Phoenix in 7th place, but Auckland FC 5 points ahead of Wellington Phoenix. They're still so early on in the season, but is this going to be another campaign where Auckland are finishing above Wellington Phoenix? This next derby coming up in December is going to be huge for Wellington. It is being played in Auckland, and then they've got a derby later on the season back in Wellington. But they have to respond here, Wellington Phoenix, because 4 out of 4 wins for Auckland. No draws as well. All of these games have been wins for Auckland. I did want to highlight the next 3 games coming up for these two teams. So it's just coming up in 3 fixtures time, the next New Zealand derby. Obviously, the international break coming up this next weekend. But both these teams are staying in New Zealand for all the way to the lead up to the next derby, which is quite fascinating. Wellington Phoenix have Macarthur and Adelaide at home. Macarthur and Adelaide. Interesting games there for Phoenix. Could be timed matches there. Macarthur, Adelaide, tricky opposition to come up against. For Auckland FC, they've got 2 home games as well leading up to the next New Zealand derby. Brisbane Roar at home and Newcastle Jets at home. I think Auckland FC should probably be favourites in both of those games. I mean, Auckland FC may well be favourites in almost every game that they host this season. Brisbane Roar game could be tricky. I think they'll view the Newcastle game as a winnable game for them. And then the New Zealand derby after that. So that's the really interesting thing. It's going to be fascinating to see who's going to have the form heading into that next New Zealand derby. It feels like those next games for Wellington at home against the Bulls and the Reds are so key. They have to get positive results. They have to take a bit of momentum heading to Auckland in a month's time. Because again, just to reiterate, they need to respond. They cannot let this become a pattern. And Auckland FC, credit to them, man. They have come into this league and they have been absolutely fantastic. What a start they've made. They finished first last season. After 4 rounds, they are top of the table with 10 points so far. 4 out of 4 New Zealand derby wins. What do you guys make of the Auckland FC dominance? What did you make of this game? Drop your thoughts in the comments section. And subscribe for more A-League men's content right here on Watch Football with me, Lockie. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. See you in the next one.